we promised Jules we'd do this. I just want to go through the goals because to see if there really were as many mistakes on the goals. If we're really just going to be difficult. Look, we know that mistakes happen in a game because otherwise it would be like the legendary Italian Gianni Brera said, the perfect game always finishes 0-0 because nobody makes a mistake.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah, but if you look at the Arsenal-City game, for example, just before going to the goal, which was a lot of people, 99% of people would prefer the game from Sunday, the 4-4, than the 1-0 for Arsenal. But that game, there was no mistake made pretty much the whole game for either Arsenal or City, and they were very maybe conservative and very cautious of all of that. But that was a completely
the mistake is the shape of Nathan Ake's head.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So I just want to talk about this though. But before the Malagusto thing to me is evidence that Chelsea fully deserved the draw, even without that stupid stupid mistake.
No, the draw is a fair result.
Because if you look at it in terms of chances, in terms of the way they played, in terms of performance, I'm happy to say there should have been a draw. So the first one is a penalty converted by Erling Haaland. It's that thing with him and Cucurella where they're both kind of pulling and pushing and stuff like that. They both have hold of each other's shirts.
Before the cross came, and when the ball is on his way, it's of Cucurella preventing Haaland to get to the ball. Maybe
it's very soft. I mean,
if you give this one, you'd have to give it 4 or 5 times every single game.
Haaland instigates the contact and Cucurella reacts, and I don't think it's a penalty. I just think that's just a bit of a coming together in the box, and Haaland makes the most of it.
Because we had arguably England's best referee in this game.
Yeah.
And I know it's open season on referees and whatever. I think Anthony Taylor's actually been generally fairly consistent and I think he's been good. He's had bad games too. I don't think this was one of his better games. I don't think this is a massive mistake. I can see why VAR didn't intervene because you wouldn't call it a massive mistake.
Yeah.
I also wonder about Cucurella again, and I say this about all shirt pulling. If I'm a striker, I know VAR is there, right? So I know that they can see me shirt pulling, right? But if I'm a striker, I'm incentivized to shirt pull because what might happen is they might disallow my goal, right? But if I'm a defender, what's going to happen is they give a penalty. Mm-hmm. And if I'm shirt pulling and I'm not the guy finishing and I'm a striker, then I'm helping my team. So I think this is just something that people should generally consider when assessing these situations. The second goal was a Thiago Silva header, which I thought was a great piece of skill. But you're going to complain about the marking because somebody.
So the marking is non-existent. So of course I'm going to complain with marking. Thiago Silva doesn't even have to jump. He doesn't even jump. He directs the ball across goal, and because the pitch was wet, like Mark said, it just accelerates as well, and there's nothing that Ederson can do.
Did nobody go with him because of where he ran to? That's the only thing I can think of.
Well, he ran for the penalty spot, and it was obviously a training.
But he's running away from goal.
Yeah, but Kyle Walker is running across the goal to hit it at the near post. Kyle Walker was the one I think.
You talk about mistakes, but sometimes good movement forces mistakes, and that happened yesterday. It was a good run from Thiago Silva. It's a great finish, and
this is what we're talking about. Unforced errors. I thought if this was a mistake, this was a forced error. So I think this is still a great.
What's the forced error? He just ran across the goal. He should be marked.
Augie just told you.
Since when we don't mark players, especially the best header of the ball in the other team? Nowhere. It would be the same for Akanji in the.
We'll get to that because I thought that was really bad. But all right, the next one is the Sterling goal. Guardiola's not going to want to see this again.
Yeah. No,
I
think he even gets nutmegged.
Yeah, and he gets his legs all tangled and everything. It was just pretty ugly.
Yeah.
The Akanji one, that's another free header.
Yeah.
This actually, again, maybe it's because I like Thiago Silva more, but I'm sorry. This is really bad. This was a clear defensive breakdown from Chelsea.
Yeah, because he doesn't even make a run. At least Thiago Silva, where you're right, is that he makes that run, so he makes you think you have to follow or at least communicate with somebody else. Akanji is just there between two Chelsea players, and
I mean, I was having this chat with Gab on WhatsApp the other day about teams can no longer defend, and they've lost the art of defending. So I was referring it back to the Man United Copenhagen game where you just know that.
I do have to go back to United.
But not teams that grind
I agree with you.
And it's completely. Like the art of defending has gone because there's so much value placed on scoring goals now. It's great, and that was an example yesterday. A couple of examples of teams not knowing how to just do the very basics. Yeah. And, stop his just to defend and mark.
This is a discussion for another time because otherwise I will digress and we'll get sidetracked on this. But I strongly disagree with you. I think it's a type of defending which is different. But we'll have. And when it's a slow week, international week's coming up.
Very good idea.
We open this conversation.
Very good idea.
The goal, the next goal was the Haaland goal where he slides in with Reece James. They made this whole to-do on television on my feed. I was switching between the Italian commentary and the English commentary. And they went on and on about how oh God, oh, hopefully VAR won't disallow it. It hits his elbow, blah, blah, blah. That's not what VAR is there for. I don't think this was ever going to be disallowed. If it was reviewed, because to see if there was a foul or whatever. There wasn't. This is just good grunt work from Erling Haaland. However, you found a mistake before that, didn't you?
But there's only one place where Julien Alvarez can cross that ball in. Watching it, everybody knew exactly what was going to happen there. And then Disasi, more than Thiago Silva, but Disasi really at no point looks at where Haaland is behind him. And
that goal took Haaland to 49 goals in 47 Premier League games, which means he's one away from 50, and the rate he scores at, Andy Cole's got the record, it's 65 games. I mean, 65 games to take 50 goals, and Haaland's now doing it in 47. But there was I think it was Opta posted the stat of where his goals are from, and all of his goals in the Premier League have come from within the tram lines of the 6-yard box. It's just a very narrow area, so it's obvious.
Yeah,
all of them. He's never shot from outside the box.
No,
yeah,
he did,
two outside the box, but within that kind of narrow. So basically, just forcing wide doesn't score goals.
Okay, now comes the error fest, as I see, or happenstance fest. The Nico Jackson goal. So it's the one where Gallagher shoots from outside the box. He hits it hard, but it's got a long way to travel.
Yeah.
Keepers are taught to parry it to the side. I don't know, maybe wet ball, whatever.
No.
I actually thought he could have saved it.
It just has some treatment, hadn't it? But whether that made a difference, I doubt.
So there's a treatment, makes him parry it centrally. I don't think Ederson will be happy with this. No. But you took issue with...
Ruben Diaz. Ruben Diaz is literally tackling the air, like tackling a ghost, thinking that maybe he could block the Gallagher shot. He's far from Gallagher to start with, and I'm not even sure he's in the line of the ball anywhere. But the problem I have, Gab, is that by him diving... throwing himself onto the floor in the hope that maybe
takes himself out of the Nico
exactly.
Jackson
And then when the ball comes up to Nico Jackson, Ruben Diaz has his bottom on the floor. Nico Jackson is on his own, can take a touch and then finishes. And I just don't understand how Ruben Diaz, and that's nowhere near as bad as the next mistake that he makes, of course. But that one, I know you're a bit of a warrior, but sometimes just think a bit more, because had he stood up and stayed with Nico Jackson, I'm not sure Nico Jackson would have scored the rebound like he did.
Rodri's goal. Great personality to take the shot from there, blah, blah, blah. But it is a double deflection. And in fact, this is one of those things that in England, it's traditional to award the goal. I think the whole world does this now. Oh, but if it's going on target, even if it's deflected, we should award it. Not treat it as an own goal. Yeah. Whatever, doesn't matter. Not Rodri's fault, but that is clear.
That's an own goal. It's diverted past.
Yeah. And the worst is that I think Erling Haaland got the assist. No, for sure. Really? For real, yeah.
But it was going in one corner, it ended up in the other, so heck that,
My man... Armando comes in and wins the game for Chelsea by winning the penalty. Actually, no, he doesn't, because all he does, the poor guy, he does just stand there and he gets assaulted by Ruben Diaz. Yeah.
Again,
crazy tackle.
Ruben Diaz is one of the best defenders in the world, right? We all agree.
Yeah, in theory, yeah. Which is why we're talking about this.
Yeah, but what can go through his mind at that time of the game when you're 4-3 up and you know there's 2 or 3 minutes left maximum? And it's a good ball by Sterling to Broja. It's a good first touch from Broja. But he slides literally from the King's Road all the way in. And you see him coming from so far away. And then he pretends, he said to the ref, I touched the ball, go and check, I just find it so strange that a player of his quality makes such a stupid mistake.
Okay, so here's the thing. Obviously, the rain played part of it. Obviously, I think also the intensity of the game, because this was a really, really intense game as
Fatigue
well.
In the 95th minute.
No, but I'm talking about throughout the game for all these mistakes. And look, we don't just want to be Grinches here and talk about the mistakes, but I just find it interesting when there are players who are super dependable, super reliable, make mistakes like this. Do we just chalk it up to a bad day at the office combined with the rain and the intensity and stuff like that?
Nobody's perfect, are they? I mean, people make mistakes, and you just express the conditions there that, it was a slippery pitch, but then pitches are watered anyway, aren't they? So how much slippery was it? It was just a bad mistake.
So if you're Pep, you're not worried about it. You don't see any structural issues.
No, but what's true is that when you face a team with so much intensity at Chelsea, and when you lose control, even away from home, the Rodri mistake on the Malo Gusto goal, when you try to play the ball from here to you, Gab, so short pass to Grealish, and Sterling intercepts and then gives the ball to Malagu. This is like a very un-Rodri-esque mistake, and yet maybe because they had to do all that running, because they didn't control the game like they usually do, maybe they just lost a little bit of that lucidity towards the end. Same for the Ruben Diaz crazy tackle.
So could this be a blueprint for teams facing City? What Chelsea
not many teams can play like Chelsea with that intensity and that,
because it's the intensity with the quality that Chelsea have, and the fact that obviously, given where Chelsea are and not having European football,
of course, it
allows you
fit.
to prepare.
For me, Chelsea and Spurs when everybody's fit, are the fittest team in the league by far.